Hi everyone, my name is Ain Kahira. I'm from section 55 and my course is Bachelor of Early Childhood Education. Today I want to present my part is Introduction. An elective is a formal group decision-making process which is contingent choose an individual or multiple individual to hold public office. Elector in Malaysia include the election of a public positive for the political entities that formed the Malaysian Federal in 1963. The head of an executive branch at the federal and state level, respectively the Prime Minister and Menteri Besar of Chief Minister, are elective indirect, usually filled by members the majority party in their respective body of law. A type of election is federal level. At the federal level, voter elect 2 to 2 members of the House of Representatives for the bicameral parliament. Members are elected for single-member constitutes draw on the basic population use a first-past-the-post system. The party with a majority in the House of Representatives will form the federal government. The Malaysian Constitution requires that general election must be held at least once every 5 years. However, the Prime Minister can ask the Yang di-Pertuan Agong to dissolve the Parliament at any time before the end of the 5-year period. General election must be held no that 16 days after the dissolution of the Parliament. Since independent Parliament election has been won most often by Barisan Nasional, a coalition of a 14 party, the 1969 election saw the first time the alliance failed to achieve a 2/3 majority in a parliament, which happened again in 2008 and 2013 election. In the 2018 general elective, the Pakatan Harapan coalition defend the Barisan Nasional at the federal level for the first time in a history. The type of election number 2 is a state level. At the state level, voter elect representative the state legislative assembly. The number of the election respective varies between different states, which is as many as 82 voters in Sarawak and at least 15 in Perlis. Members are elected for single-member constitution draw on the basic population using a first-past-the-post system. The party that form the majority at the state assembly will form the state government. The state assembly area is smaller in terms of area and population that the parliament are. Each parliamentary constituency outside the federal territory is divided in a number of adun constituencies, usually 2 or 3, but can be as many as 6. Traditionally, state electors are held stimulation with a parliamentary election, but each state can decide when the whole election. For example, following the Kelantan emergency of 1977, snap election will held in Kelantan in March 1968, a few months before the general election in July 1968. A month recurrent example is that in the 1999 general election, state election from the 11 states in Peninsular Malaysia were held simultaneously with parliamentary election, while Sabah has already held in state election a few months early. That the Sarawak State Assembly was not scheduled from the election until 2001. The practice of holding stimulation election was interrupted by the 2019 election. At the 2022 Malaysian political crisis. Early start election are held in Sabah 2020, Malacca 2021 and Johor 2022. Sarawak held a delayed election in December 2021, when in 14 Parliament was announced on 10 October 2022 to make way the 15th general election of the 9 states with elections take in 2023 choose not to solve their state assembly at the same time with the same, leaving on 3 states, Pahang, Perak and Perlis, holding state election stimulation which parliament election. The number 3 is local government election. Local government elections were suspended after the Indonesia-Malaysia confrontation in 1964. The suspension was never lifted and instead was made permanent under the Local Government Act 1966. However, it is option column the New Straits Times, owned by the United Malaysian National Organisation or UMNO, the leader party of the Barisan Nasional, quotes a perform from in University Kebangsaan Malaysia as saying that such as election would not brought back because policymakers know from the experience around the world that the option tends to dominate the council as part of a volunteer device for check and balance. The professor also notes that due of the constitutional change recruitment, it was difficult for such as amendmentally to be a pass of a parliament. The column used also quotes a government ministry as saying that holding election is a expensive affair. Okay, the last one is by-election. By-election occur when certain seats in the House of Representatives become vacant. Such a vacancy can occur when a member of a parliament dies and the member of the parliament is disqualified to be a member of the House of Representatives. The seat was declared vacant because the member of a parliament did not attend every sitting on a Dewan Rakyat for a period of 6 months without the permission of the Dewan Rakyat, and the member of the Dewan Rakyat has decided to declare the seat vacant. The exception, it is a vacancy occur when the term of service of the current parliament of Dun is less than 2 years, which is case the seat is left vacant until the next general election. Thank you. I will pass my part to the Monisha.
Hi madam, my name is Monisa. Today I would like to present on election process, which is nomination process, campaign and also polling day process. First, I would like to talk about nomination process. Nomination centers are set up in various locations by the Election Commission to allow candidates to register themselves. Typically, any Malaysian citizen may register as a candidate unless disqualified. Candidates file the appropriate form and place a monetary deposit. The deposit was 5,000 to contest a parliamentary seat or 3,000 to contest a state assembly seat. This amount was changed to 10,000 and 5,000 respectively in year 2004. Additionally, in year 2004, it was required that each candidate provide a 5,000 deposit for cleaning up banners and posters after the election. This increase is seen by some as having led to the government winning a record number of seats without contest in year 2004. The deposit is used to pay for an infringement of election laws and is returned after polling day unless the candidate loses and fails to garner more than 1/8 of the vote. Secondly, I'm going to talk about the campaign process. The campaign period permitted by law runs from the date of nomination day until polling day. Campaigning amongst opposition parties is often hampered by a lack of access to government-controlled media. Prior to the 1999 general election, opposition parties were given a brief period of airtime on the radio Television Malaysia, which is RTM radio station, to broadcast their manifestos. However, the government announced a change in policy in 1999, insisting that as RTM was government owned, preference would be given to the government parties. Rules of the campaign is no use of improper materials, no illegal forums, and no ongoing above. Third is election day process. On election day, registered voters may cast their ballot for their chosen candidate in a designated voting center. These voting centers are typically schools or community centers which have been procured for that day. All activities in the school are suspended for that day. Holidays are also declared in states where election day does not fall on a weekend to allow maximum turnout. Certain political parties will provide transport for voters to and from the voting center. While campaigning is not allowed on election day, transportation is seen as something of a social service. Each candidate is allowed one agent per voting center. Their job starts early and begins by inspecting that the metal ballot boxes have not been tampered. They also ensure that the boxes are securely locked before voting begins. After locking, the boxes are sealed by the Election Commission and each agent may place their own seal on the box. The agents also ensure that the ballot papers given out to voters do not contain any markings. In the past, certain parties have marked the ballot papers for their own candidates. The agents ensure that these events do not occur. The last task of the agent is to ensure that on the close of voting, the ballot boxes are still secure.
My name is Misa Shasha. I would like to present about permission to enter voting center. First, before you're allowed to vote for elected representative in a general or by election, you need to register as a voter. Second, you can vote if your name is not listed in the electoral register. Since 15 December 2021, the government enforced Malaysian votes aged 18 and over to vote. Voters must present their National Registration Department issued identity card as a proof of identity. Last, to ensure peaceful election, following officers are allowed to be present during polling at the booth. First is members or officer of the Election Commission, presiding officer and his staff, candidates and the representative of the candidates, polling and counting agents, personnel authorized by the Election Commission. For voting method, a voter can make only one vote for each type in an election. Once a voter enters the polling station, on the left-hand index finger, a indelible ink is put which lasts its impression for a week. This method to make sure that the voter do not vote again in the same election. The official ticks of the name of voter on the electoral list and the voter will then be given the ballot papers. Each voter received two paper ballots, one for the parliamentary seat of the constituency and another paper for the state assembly seat. The voter will then be asked to proceed to the voting booth and mark the ballot and place his votes in separate ballot boxes labeled for parliamentary and state seats. The whole process will be observed by election officials and agents of candidate and party. The polling center normally close at 6 p.m. For counting of votes, it's carried out by the presiding officer at the voting center, and only the following members are allowed to enter the counting center, which is members and official of election commission, officer appointed by the election commission, counting clerks, candidates and representative and counting agents. Mm. For the conclusion, the election process has been used to establish the structure of national government in Malaysia parliamentary democracy system. Voters, political parties, and even the government will all involve in the electoral process. Political parties in competition will present their individual candidates and platform. The chosen candidate will travel throughout the country during the campaign season to give speech about their individual manifesto in an effort to garner support and further persuade voters to support them to election day. The public has the chance to evaluate the character and goals of a candidate who will represent them in the parliament later on through the campaign that is being held. However, there is a number of requirements that each competitor must meet, such as having Malaysian citizenship and residency. Candidates will not be permitted to compete if they are determined to be in violation of one of the eligibility requirements, such as being insane, bankrupt, or adopting another citizenship. As a Malaysian, we must carry out our obligation as a voter. The community can learn about how voters are cast and how leaders are chosen via the election campaigns. The concept of freedom of expression is one that public can understand, respect, and value. Thank you.